It makes me sick that they think we're this dumb. 85% of Gaza has been destroyed in this pre-planned, controlled demolition of Gaza. Bibi Netanyahu is on camera explicitly before October 7th saying we need to hit them so hard that they can't come back. Jared Kushner is involved in, he will financially benefit from whatever they build in its place. Again, all of this began before October 7th.
There is a concerted effort to make Candace Owens look like she's absolutely insane because of what she said in that clip. Oh, she's being conspiratorial, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But it looks like Candace Owens was onto something when she made those statements, because according to reports in Israeli media, which is what I like to read, Jared Kushner, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, and Oracle's Larry Ellison are planning to turn Gaza into a haven for billionaires. In other words, ethnic cleansing still on the table.
Of course.
Yeah, so I'm gonna show you a screenshot of the piece I'm talking about. It had to be translated to English, okay? But it's from a website, an Israeli publication known as Globes. Jared Kushner and Peter Thiel are also in. Gaza could become a tax haven that will bring about the normalization agreement with Saudi Arabia. The huge economic project of rebuilding Gaza after the war is already attracting interest from countries, billionaires, and former leaders, from Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who aspires to establish AI centers in the Strip, to foreign investors looking for enabling regulation. Experts predict the development initiatives could serve as leverage to promote normalization with Saudi Arabia, also through Kushner's involvement, but the road there is still fraught with political and security obstacles. Fascinating. Now look, if that sounds crazy to you, I just want everyone to believe people when they say out loud what they intend to do. And Jared Kushner is really no exception. Take a look.
There are real fears on the part of Arabs, and I'm sure you talk to a lot of them, who think once Gazans leave Gaza, Netanyahu's never going to let them back in.
Maybe, but I'm not sure there's much left of Gaza at this point. So, if you think about even the construct, like, Gaza was not really a historical precedent, right? It was the result of a war. And so my sense is I would say, how do we deal with the terror threat that is there, so that it cannot be a threat to Israel or to Egypt, right? I think that both sides are spending a fortune on military. I think neither side really wants to have, a terrorist organization enclaved right between them. I mean, Gaza's waterfront property. It could be very valuable, but I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up.
He said it out loud.
Yep.
He said it out loud, guys. So look, I have a lot of areas of disagreement with Candace Owens. There's no question. But to make her out to be insane for saying statements like that, I think is crazy. The people accusing her of being crazy are the real insane people, because it's all right here in front of us, guys.
Yeah. So, all right, let's start with Jared Kushner. So he says, well, the people are saying conspiratorially, the guy's trying to give him a layup that they're gonna move out the Palestinians. I mean, that's ethnic cleansing.
And not let them come back.
And not let them come back. And Jared Kushner's like, yeah, maybe. In other words, yeah, of course that's our plan. And then he goes on to confirm, for he says Gaza doesn't even exist. It's it's a historical context, war, blah, 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 okay? And maybe we move the people out. Yeah, that's called ethnic cleansing, and you're saying it on tape. And you're saying, I wanna do it so I can make more money. Is that a trope? Because I didn't say it, you said it. So, okay, so your plan is to murder these people, ethnically cleanse them, destroy all of Gaza so you could rebuild it as waterfront property for you and for Israel. Well, I don't know anything more disgusting than that. Don't come at me about denouncing Candace Owens until you denounce Jared Kushner. Okay, did anybody denounce Jared Kushner? Did anybody call him an anti-Muslim bigot, a terrorist, someone who wants to ethnically cleanse 2.2 million people? No, I'm not gonna denounce Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens or anyone else who, by the way, treat the Palestinians and Muslims and Arabs these days in a shocking turn of events as if they're human beings, more so than mainstream media does, way more. Denounce all of mainstream media who treats the Palestinians as dispensable and not fully human.
100%.
I denounce all of you. I denounce every cable news anchor. Now, but you're gonna pressure everyone? Oh no, No, Candace has made Israel unhappy by sticking up for Palestinians who are being slaughtered at record numbers. You guys we don't have to denounce her at all, okay? I am very happy about her support for the Palestinians.
Agreed.
And they say, oh no, but we're so much more important. I mean, yeah, the Palestinians are dead, but we have been offended. That's so much more. No, it's not. No, the lives of the Palestinians are infinitely more important than you being offended 100%. By Candace Owens.
So let me get to more details about this reporting in, again, Israeli media. The US media, I'm sure, could report on this, but interestingly enough, they failed.
They don't. Huh, so what a weird coincidence.
The piece actually quotes specific people, and that's important because you're putting a name onto these statements, which makes it a lot more credible. So Hadass Lorber, head of the Israel-US project at the Institute for National Security Studies, and head of the Institute for Responsible Artificial Intelligence at HIT, sees the increasing involvement of Kushner and former British Prime Minister Tony Blair,
of course,
in rebuilding the Gaza Strip and shaping the governmental and civilian reality there after the war as a good sign. The Saudis and Emiratis are interested in taking part in the Gaza reconstruction plan, which, beyond demilitarizing it and entrusting it to a technocratic government based on local forces with Arab backing, is supposed to become, according to Blair and Kushner, a city of tax-free startups with scattered server farms for cloud processing and artificial intelligence. And at its center, a Tesla factory where cheap local labor will work. The plan is also receiving encouragement from several billionaires, such as Peter Thiel, who's the actual Antichrist, and Larry Ellison, the other Antichrist, who are looking for new tax-free areas and simple regulation, meaning no regulation, with the latter also willing to invest $350 million in the plan. I mean, Peter Thiel is giving lectures on the Antichrist. Look in the mirror, bitch.
Yeah, so I was talking about Peter Thiel and Larry Ellison, but first, I mean, you guys got that, right? So they're like, we're gonna take it for Israel and the billionaires in America. We're gonna surveil them with Palantir and Oracle. And as Larry Ellison pointed out, we now have the equipment that could track every person. And if they're doing anything we don't like, that's it. We lock them up or we kill them or whatever it is. He didn't say kill them or lock them up. He just said we have the ability to track all of you. And the citizens will be well behaved now, okay? So these monsters are going over, they're gonna wipe out everyone. They already wiped out 93% of the buildings. They're gonna rebuild it for Israel and for themselves. And they're gonna use the Palestinians as cheap labor, basically as slaves. They're the most disgusting people on earth, those two, okay? So now, Peter Thiel, to Anna's point, that's why we're ironically saying the Antichrist, because what a ludicrous thing to say. Antichrist, what kind of nonsense talk is that, okay? And guess what, he gave two options as the potential Antichrist. Peter Thiel, apparently Christian, whatever the hell he is, right? He's some sort of radical now in terms of religious fervor. What a dumb person. Like, oh, I found the answer, it's in radical religion. Okay, yeah, you sound really smart. Anyways, he says the two possibilities are Greta Thunberg, yeah. The Antichrist is gonna come as a tiny Swedish girl with no power. That's likely, okay? Yeah. Or he named some guy who is opposed to AI because he's worried about all the things we're worried about. Turns out the guy's Jewish. So one of the two potential Antichrists is Jewish according to Peter Thiel. Wait a minute, isn't that the biggest anti-Semitic trope of all time? But he's working with us to enslave the Palestinians and to monitor them and to do all these things. And he's gonna set up one of the things here. And by the way, we're then gonna bring that technology to America and we're gonna surveil all of you so you're good boys and girls and don't protest Israel or the current government or any of the corporations that have taken over and are terrorizing us. So now let's go to Larry Ellison. Mention of Tony Blair there. We mentioned earlier in the show, Larry Ellison gave $5 million to Marco Rubio earlier in his career for a super PAC, and that's just from one email that we saw. God knows how much he gave to him overall.
Can I just add a little more to that, because it's important. When Marco Rubio was running for president in 2015 in the Republican primary, he submitted his speeches to Larry Ellison and the Israeli ambassador to the United States to prove that he was adequately pro-Israel enough. After Larry Ellison did the vetting, he hosted a fundraiser for Marco Rubio.
And gave him $5 million out of his money for that super PAC, let alone the $1 million that Rubio has taken publicly from the Israeli lobby, let alone the dark money, let alone everything, okay?
Yeah.
So that's why, and then in the middle of that story, we did something about this, and then that became an internet meme. And today, as pro-Israel radicals continue to terrorize us and stalk us and do death threats, I say from now on, when you talk about Larry Ellison, do this. It's not about Jewish people, it's not even about Israel, it's just about Larry Ellison. So Larry Ellison then gave $35 million to who? Oh, Tony Blair, to Tony Blair's so-called charity nonprofit, okay? And so Tony Blair is stinking rich now because of Larry Ellison, and he's the one who's going to be in charge of this peace process. In other words, they rigged it so that the bad guys are in charge. They're gonna continue to brutalize the Palestinians. They have a plan to just wipe them out, bulldoze them, and take it over for Israel and set up these centers where, hey, you know what? We might allow some of the Palestinians back in to be slave labor for us. And then lastly, on the point that Anna started with, I figured out why the Israeli press is so much better than American press. Because in America, they could just call you an anti-Semite and destroy your life. But in Israel, everybody's Jewish, so that trick doesn't work. So the Israeli press, of course, has tons of propaganda in favor of Netanyahu, et cetera, but also some great reporting. Like we found out, among the many things we found out from the Israeli press is that the IDF thinks their civilian kill ratio is 83% in Gaza, the worst of any group, any terrorist group or any country in the world, right? So now, what's amazing is the American press has never reported that, or reported this, or reported any of the things that the Israeli press is publicly reporting.
Yeah.
But the American press looks at it and goes, I don't want my life ruined.
That's exactly right.
So I'm not gonna, even though it's true and super relevant, I'm not going to say, instead, I'm gonna write an article that's basically Israeli propaganda, because I don't want to be fired and I don't want my life ruined by these pro-Israel radicals.
And also, look, reporting this kind of stuff in American media might actually sour Americans against Israel. In Israel, reporting this kind of stuff is just, it's Tuesday. Like, this is what we're planning on doing, and aren't you happy that the terrorist enclave will no longer exist? Essentially, like, I mean, this piece did not call all Palestinians terrorists, but isn't that what Jared Kushner did in his statement there?
He did.
A terrorist enclave.
He's a terrorist.
I mean, 100%. So a few more details, because this story is so important, guys, because you're gonna hear all sorts of lies about like, oh yeah, they're working around the clock for a peace deal. No, they're not, okay? In fact, here's more from our friend Hadas Lorber, who says that Israel's full normalization with Saudi Arabia is still subject to political constraints and Palestinian demands, Lorber argues. Therefore, pay attention to this statement, this is important. Therefore, the solution now is a graduated model, postponing an immediate decision on issues such as the two-state solution. According to the plan, Israel may or may not recognize the Palestinian people's aspiration for self-determination in the future after certain conditions are met. But the bottom line, in the Trump era, normalization with Israel is seen as part of a model in which the American administration controls the Middle East through the leverage of local capital. And one other thing I want to note, now that all of the living hostages have been returned and the remains of some of the hostages, or at least the hostages they can find, have been returned, there are a lot of overt statements about how no, they want to continue the genocide. So here's a video of Bezalel Smotrich basically making clear that the Israelis are in on all of this, meaning the real estate bonanza. Let's watch that, and then I'll give you the statements in English for our audio audience.
המלחמה בהיבט הנדל"ני. אתה כבר התבטאת לא פעם לגבי חידוש ההתיישבות היהודית ברצועת עזה. שאלה פשוטה, איפה מבחינתך צריך לקום היישוב הראשון ברצועה?
אני מודה שלזה לא ציפיתי, אני מוכן להתחיל מהתוחמת הצפונית, אבל סתם, תדעו לכם, זה לא מצחיק, יש תוכנית עסקית, תקשיבו לי טוב, יש תוכנית עסקית שנבנתה על ידי אנשים הכי מקצועיים שיש שנמצאת על השולחן של הנשיא טראמפ, לאיך הדבר הזה הופך לבוננזה של נדל"ן, אני לא צוחק, מחזיר את עצמו. אגב, אני התחלתי משא ומתן עם האמריקאים, אני אומר את זה לא בצחוק עכשיו, כי אני גם דורש, הרי אנחנו שילמנו המון כסף על המלחמה הזאת, אז אנחנו צריכים להתחלק איך אנחנו עושים אחוזים על שיווקי הקרקע אחר כך בעזה, אבל עכשיו לא בצחוק. את שלב ההריסה, שהוא תמיד השלב הראשון בהתחדשות העירונית עשינו, עכשיו צריך לבנות, זה הרבה יותר זול.
He said, we have paid a lot of money for this war. No, you haven't. American citizens have.
Yeah, you didn't pay anything.
We went into debt for this. We have paid a lot of money for this war. We have to see how we are dividing up the land in percentages. The demolition, the first stage in the city's renewal, we have already done. Now we need to build. There is a business plan put together by the most professional people here that is on President Trump's desk. They say it out loud. And when they say what they intend to do, when they show you who they are, just believe them.
I mean, he couldn't have been any clearer there. He said, we're gonna make money off of it. There's a business plan. We're gonna split up Gaza. We're gonna have certain percentages. And that's why we're destroying everything in Gaza. But American media is like, oh no, it's just a coincidence that they happen to destroy 93% of the buildings in Gaza. It's just a coincidence that they have cranes and bulldozers and steamrollers right now destroying the parts of Gaza that they control, and they already destroyed the parts they don't control. They already have 53% of Gaza. They already stole half of Gaza. But American media says no. Not only are you not allowed to report facts, if you report facts, we'll try to ruin your life, right? So tell me you're not Israeli propaganda. I mean, you saw it on tape. You heard him say it. Nope. NBC won't cover it, CBS, ABC, CNN, Fox News, New York Times, Washington Post. Nope. Lie after lie after lie to do Israeli propaganda and not tell you the real reason. Which all you gotta do is go to the Israeli press and you'll see they're on tape all over the place going, yeah, we're gonna ethnically cleanse them. We're gonna steal that land and we're gonna make it ours. And we're gonna make a lot of money off of it. Don't tell me it's a trope, he said it. He said it. That's a terrorist, and I hope one day that he faces a Nuremberg type of trial. Him, Ben-Gvir, Netanyahu at a minimum, but almost that entire cabinet.
Yep.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.